I will not be telling you anything that is going to spoil the movie. So, you know, just FYI, you can watch this whole thing. Do not worry about it because I know it's still very early and a lot of you are gonna go and watch the movie. So yeah, no worries about that. We're not doing anything. Hello guys, what's up? My name is Sonu and you're watching SonuTube. Thanks for being here today. I appreciate you. So this is gonna be a little bit different of a video because obviously you saw the thumbnail. We are going to be talking about KALKI. KALKI is out. KALKI is here. It has made its debut and it's so exciting. I did go and watch it the second day that it came out. So here in New York, apparently it was out on Wednesday night, which I had no idea. And I'm like, damn, if I knew, I would have watched, went and watched it Wednesday night. But I, just the scheduling and the timing and all that. But I did go and watch it Thursday evening, the second day. I caught like a 7 p.m. show here in New York City, not at a major theater, but it's like a little quieter of a theater. So I just wanted it to be relaxing and I wanted to really pay attention. And of course there was a crying baby. I'm like, I don't get it. Why do people bring their babies, especially to a movie that is that long? I get it, you don't have a babysitter, but it's like an action-packed movie, like a comedy movie, a romantic movie I would get, but an action-packed movie, come on people. But you know what, I gotta give it to them. They came out with their baby to watch Prabhas and everybody else and to watch KALKI, so yeah. But anyway, this is the first time I watched a Telugu movie in a movie theater. And wow, what an amazing one to watch in the theaters. Okay, so that was interesting. And I watched it with the English subtitles, which at first I was like, I don't know like how it's gonna be, but it was actually okay. I mean, it is annoying to like look at the screen and then look at the subtitles. So I was trying to do my best to make sure I'm like catching everything. But I think I will be going to watch it in Hindi as well, just so I can kind of pay attention more to what's, the visuals and everything. But either way, I enjoyed every minute of it. So let's talk about it. Now, the movie is 3.5 hours long, which is interesting because on my ticket, when I looked at it, it said 2 hours and 45 minutes. But in reality, it was 3.5 hours long because I remember I got to the theater like early. It started at like 7:10 and I don't think it finished until like 10:20 or 10:30. So it's either 3 hours or 3.5 hours. It is a very long movie, which is fine because obviously Bollywood has always had movies that are like 3 hours long. Now they're like shortening them and stuff, but either way, me personally, I can sit and watch a 6-hour movie if it's good. I have no issue with that. I would consider myself a professional moviegoer or a professional movie watcher because I don't just watch movies as a pastime. Like, yes, some movies, but I get very interested in everything about the movie, the production of the movie, the characters, the camera work, the editing, the sound. Like, I love all that stuff. So as a creator myself, but yeah, those are my credentials. I am a professional movie watcher. Not very professional at all actually, but either way. And like I said, I think I mentioned that in one of my KALKI reaction videos, that like sci-fi thrillers are actually one of my favorite genres. My top 3 like movies, American movies at least, are actually sci-fi thrillers, and those are Independence Day is like one of my favorite movies with Will Smith of all time. Like, that is such a good movie. Another one is Armageddon. Another one is called The Mummy. So yeah, I love those types of movies. I was very, very excited for this movie. Like, the first sci-fi thriller out of Bollywood, out of India, and it's the most expensive movie that's ever been made. Like, what? I was like, of course I have to go see this. Like, come on. And I just also want to put a disclaimer. Sorry, I'm just gonna talk as the thoughts come to my head. I did take notes, not throughout the movie, but like afterwards I took notes of like everything that came to me because I knew I wasn't gonna be filming this right away, but it's only been 2 days, so it's still like pretty fresh in my head. I will say now, I don't know much about like the Hinduism, all the stories and all those characters, and obviously this movie is based on the Hindu tradition, so just keep that in mind. And but I will say, after watching this movie, I am very intrigued, and now I'm like, I want to learn about it, because so that I can understand a lot of what was happening. I mean, I definitely understood the whole movie, but I feel like if I had the knowledge behind it, I would have understood and appreciated it more so that I did already. But yeah, you're probably like, Sonu, get to the point. Yes, we are getting there. Okay, so my thoughts on this movie are, drum roll please. No, so I really enjoyed this movie. It was a really great movie, and but I will say, all in all, it is a great movie. But I think, based on what my expectations were, I had the thought in my head that, like, okay, I'm gonna go in the movie theater, I'm gonna watch the movie, and it is gonna blow me away. This is gonna be like the best thing that I have ever seen, right? That was my expectation, and maybe that's my fault, you know, but because we heard that it's the most expensive movie being made, it's like, you know, so many great things about it, so I really thought it was going to leave that kind of impact on me. But it did not. Honestly, it did not. I loved it. It was a great watch. I would definitely watch it again, but I think there were some things that were lacking, and we are gonna talk about it and get into those. And like I said, maybe for someone who is a Hindu and who practices Hinduism, this may be like the best movie you've ever seen. I could definitely see that. But as an outsider, as a person who doesn't understand that, and as like a, you know, a person who is, you know, I am desi, obviously, but like I grew up watching Bollywood movies, so it's not like I have no idea about any of this. I am very familiar, because obviously we grew up on the movies, we've seen all, you know, all the stuff, like Hinduism is portrayed, it's a literally part of the DNA of like Bollywood movies and Indian movies, so that's fine. But for me, like, it just didn't make the impact that I was hoping and praying that it would make. I wanted this to be like the best movie ever, but unfortunately it did fall a little bit short in some aspects. So let's get into those. The first and foremost, it's a visual spectacle. It is absolutely amazing. Oh my goodness, the world that they created, like the visuals, this Kashi, the city, like the complex, the amazing visuals and animations, like those were so amazing. I was so captivated by everything, and it looked like they put some great hard work and effort into it, so that was amazing. The soundtrack, I actually love the soundtrack. I think it's so amazing. The Bhairava anthem, I've been listening to that. It's such a good song. I love that song. But also just like the themes, I have not watched like the actual theme song of the movie yet, but I will. I mean, it was in the movie, so like I heard it, but I do want to dedicate like a separate video for that. But I will say, like, okay, like we said, it's a long movie. It's 3.5 hours long. And it felt long, okay? It felt like you were there for a long time. And I feel like when you're going to make a movie that is 3.5 hours long, it has to be good. And you know it's good when it doesn't feel like it was that long. But this one, to me, it felt like it was long. And I'm not gonna lie, the first first half of it, or like the beginning part of it, did feel like it was dragging a little bit. And I'm like, okay, this is taking a little bit too long. Can we like move things along a little bit? The pace of like in the beginning was a little bit slow, so it felt very long. So it almost felt like, to me, that they said, okay, we need to make this 3.5 hours and we need to fill it. We need to fill all those hours and minutes, and that's what it felt like. Like it was very forced. Like it wasn't like, oh, this naturally just turned out to be a 3.5 hour movie, because it didn't feel like that. The pace was very slow in the beginning, and there were a lot of sections of the movie where with Prabhas, and where he's fighting and doing like some comedy bits that just felt like out of place and like dragged out a little bit, and I'm like, oh, you don't need that. And honestly, like, I was actually very looking forward to seeing this movie for Prabhas specifically, because I have not watched a full Prabhas movie yet, and this was my first full Prabhas movie, and oh my god, he looks amazing. All the shots that he did, like the action and everything, were amazing. Oh my god, like the power that he holds. However, I feel like, and I don't know, maybe this is because of the character he's playing, like I'm sure it has a part to do with it. Prabhas's role seems very overshadowed by everything else. And it just didn't make the impact on me that I wanted it to. And I feel like maybe, okay, there is a second part, maybe in the second part he is gonna grow into the character, because towards the end they kind of show like a little bit of the switch. But I don't know if, is that a spoiler? I don't know if that's a spoiler. I feel like it isn't, right? Because most people know like what the story. This is based on the what is it called? The Mahabharata. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm sorry if I'm not. But it's based on that, so you kind of have an idea of how things go, right? But yeah, I just felt like he was like, his performance was good. It wasn't like anything great, but it's just like those action bits of his. There was one section of action in like the first half that was just like going on and on and on. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was like okay, like fun to watch and stuff. Like it's fine. It was really cool. I'm not gonna, it was very cool the way they did it and everything. But I feel like for an average person who doesn't want to watch a 3.5 hour movie, they would get bored of that real quick. Like I sat there and I watched it and I loved every second of it as like a movie watcher, but like it was kind of, I'm like, they could have edited it a little bit more. Same thing with like some of the comedy bits. Like they put comedy in sections that I feel like wasn't needed. Like this is like a big action packed, like it is a very serious movie. The story is very serious, so the comedy bits kind of felt just like forced, and like I'm like, you don't need that in this movie. We're watching it for like this, it's a huge amazing sci-fi thriller. I don't like, I mean they could have kept the comedy in there, but maybe not drag it out so much like they did. That's just my opinion. But I mean, did you need a little bit of comedic relief in it? Yes, but not like to that extent. I felt like, I'm just saying. But yeah, Prabhas, you know, he was good. He was great. I loved all the, you know, all his acting and stuff, but it just didn't make that big of an impact. Who made an impact? I will say the person who stood out to me the most in this movie is hands down Amitabh Bachchan. Amitabh Bachchan, oh my goodness. He like is the star of the show. He took over. I think from all the characters, I remember him the most. And it's just amazing at his age he did all this in this movie, because he is in majority of the movie. So like, oh my gosh, all the action stuff, I'm like, how did he do that? Like, and oh my god, yeah, but he was amazing. His acting, of course, was amazing. He's so natural, and I just believed, like, I didn't, you know, it's like, you know, it's good when you don't realize, oh, that's Amitabh Bachchan. It's just like the character, and he's playing it so effortlessly. Oh my god, loved him, so good. And also, I just remember, like, he didn't actually have that much dialogue in the movie, so that's how you know when you've made an impact, when you're not even speaking that much and you still leave like such a great impact. Now that we're talking about the characters, okay, we talked about Prabhas, we talked about Amitabh Bachchan, absolutely amazing. Let's talk about Deepika. And I'm gonna preface this by saying I love Deepika, okay? I've said that many times. I love her, absolutely love her. But you know how I was kind of thinking like, okay, this is the biggest movie coming out of India. It's the most expensive movie coming out of India. It makes sense that they would take Deepika because she is one of the top Bollywood actresses. So of course she is going to be in this. However, I feel like for that character in the movie, they did not need Deepika. They could have literally had any, like, you know, and not anyone, but like maybe they could have picked like a, you know, like a South Indian star. That would have been really good. I'm just saying it could have been, you know, somebody else too. It just didn't need to be Deepika, because her role is important, but it's like, it's almost just there to move the story along. It's not even like, she barely had any dialogue. I felt like her performance wasn't even like, and that's, it's not her fault. It's just like, I feel like she wasn't given that much to work with. It's just, she is just there to move the story along. But I love her. Her, you know, same thing, her performance was just okay for me. There was one scene in particular where she was crying, and she had to cry and really show that she was in pain. And I'm not gonna lie, there was one shot where I almost felt like she was laughing and not crying, which kind of like threw me off a little bit. If you've seen it and you saw that, let me know. But I'm just like, maybe I'm looking too much into it, but I didn't feel like convinced that she was like in pain. So that's that. Okay, who else was in there? I'm not gonna spoil. There are a lot of surprise what do you call it, surprise appearances, which I didn't even know half of them, but I recognized like faces, and I'm like, wait, I've seen him somewhere. So yeah, let's talk about Disha. Disha is another person, another actress in the movie, and I felt like she wasn't really needed either. Like it was weird, like they just brought her in to maybe like be like the hot girl, maybe have, but it didn't need that in the movie, because we are not going for that. This is not that type of movie. and she is also there, I feel like, as a means for something in the movie. She's there for that reason, but at the same time, like, they could have done it a little bit differently. They didn't really need to bring her in for that. Prabhas did not need a love interest in this movie. Like, he was good on his own. That's just my opinion. But she was there, she looked hot, she did her thing, and, you know, good for her. She was in one of the songs, which is out on YouTube. You can go and watch it. So yeah, I mean, but it's just like she wasn't needed. And but the fact that she was in there, I wish they would have gave her like a different kind of a role to maybe showcase her acting more, because it's just another, and hot people get, you know, this is not their fault. If you're hot, that's just the only thing that people are gonna remember about you, is that you're hot. It kind of overshadows everything. I wish they would have pulled some more out of her, like substance wise, but it wasn't really there. It was just like, oh, she's hot, she looks good, she was in the song, cool. So yeah, but yeah, I think that's all the characters that we've talked about a bit. I don't want to go too much into detail. This is just very like surface level, you know, just very quickly going through the characters. But yeah, for me, Amitabh Bachchan was definitely the best out of everyone. It was like, wow. And I'm so happy that I actually got to go in a movie theater and watch Amitabh Bachchan in action, you know, because obviously all these years we have not, you know, movies haven't opened up in America like that either, right? So it's just now that Bollywood movies are being played like across many theaters. Before, it used to be like, oh, just 1 or 2 theaters here and there, and there would be far and whatever. But now you can go to a movie theater and watch, you know, your favorite Bollywood stars in action. So it was absolutely amazing, and I loved him.
Just be positive.
Now let's talk about the parts that I absolutely loved. The scenes that really stood out to me were the scenes with Amitabh Bachchan and Prabhas when they were going when they were going head to head. Oh my goodness, those scenes, I was sitting there like captivated by everything, because it was just, the way it was done was so amazing. I loved every second of it. They were like Amitabh Bachchan fighting, and like, oh my gosh, like just going head to head with Prabhas, it was like captivating. And you know, there will be so many times during the movie where my heart kind of drops and I'm like, oh my god, why did that happen? But then, you know, they do something else, and it's like, it was very good. Those scenes were absolutely amazing. Those did not feel like they were dragging. It just felt very natural, and you know, it progressed nicely. So I definitely loved that. And of course, like I said, it was like a visual spectacle. And now I don't know if maybe that's what it is. It's like none of the other stuff, none of the characters' performances stood out as much, maybe because, except for Amitabh Bachchan, for me, maybe because the visuals were overpowering and taking over everything, which is not a bad thing, because this is what they wanted to showcase, right? A movie like this has never been made in India, so the visuals did kind of like take over all of the action stuff, and they were absolutely amazing. So I think just for that, one should go and watch the movie, because those were incredible. And to see it on the big screen, I feel like it's so nice to see it on the big screen, so you get like the full picture of everything, rather than, you know, when you like watch it at home. And also another thing I did want to touch on is that now I'm a very emotional person, and I cry at everything, and even movies that I watch, I cry. This movie, I was actually expecting to cry, because there were a lot of scenes that were very emotional, and you know, it's like good versus evil, the bad guys trying to take over, and you know, there's like, the end goal is to, you know, save the good and stuff. And there were so many times when stuff happened where I was like, oh, like this is crazy, like, you know, it's very emotional, but I didn't cry. And I was very surprised, because I'm like, not that I'm like, I normally cry at everything, but this is not giving me like, like I've been saying, it didn't make that much of an impact for me to actually cry. Like I felt the emotions within me, and I was like, oh my god, like wow. Or, you know, like the sadness or the anxiety of what's gonna happen next or whatever, but not to the point where I could cry. And that was a little interesting for me, because I'm like, it's like they're taking it there, they want, like, you're almost getting to that point, but not fully. Like it's like a little bit something was missing. And like I didn't feel like connected to any of the characters really. Like I didn't come out saying like, oh my god, I love that character, because they did introduce a lot of new people. Like there's so many people in this movie. They did introduce a lot of people, but it's like, I wish there was someone that I was like, oh wow, I love them, oh my god, like her acting was so good, or wow, like that was so amazing. like you know, as I've been saying, Amitabh Bachchan was the only one who like stood out to me, but other than that I didn't like I wasn't like in love with anyone else, and that was kind of like interesting for me because I really wanted to come out and say like, oh my god, that was the best movie ever and I really loved it and stuff, but it just wasn't there for me. But okay, I think I'm gonna wrap this up. I feel like I've touched on majority of the things I wanted to touch on, and of course we can go into in detail video as well. But overall, I definitely do think this is still a movie that was amazing, and people should still go to the movie theater to watch it because it is worth it. It is worth it. Because I feel like most people don't go to the movie theater, they'll just wait to see it. But even when the trailer come out, I feel like I said that. I was like, this is a movie that I would go to the movie theater to watch, and I think everyone should. Just, you know, for the character, for like the actors, if you love the actors, go, like, you know, and it's an amazing movie. It's an amazing work of art, and it looks like they put a lot of like time and effort into it and stuff. So yeah, it's like I can appreciate like the creative aspect and art of it, of course, but as you know, also as a moviegoer, I appreciated it. So yeah, like all in all, very great movie. But you know, I feel like it's just gonna land differently based on who's watching it and what their background is as well, because it's so rooted in the Hinduism, Indian tradition. So I think it really just depends. And also I just remembered like some of the animations, like in the I don't want to say without, I don't want to like give it away, I'm sure a lot of you guys maybe have seen it, hopefully. But they were showing, I guess, the history, and those scenes were like really cool, like the way they did it. Oh my god, the costumes, oh, we forgot to touch on the costumes, and just the way Amitabh Bachchan, again, he didn't even show his whole face, like, you know, and like it just made such an impact. But like he just looked so amazing. And who else? I feel like I mean, the other Prabhas's stuff was pretty normal. Deepika's costumes and stuff, those were pretty like normal, nothing like amazing. But Amitabh Bachchan, I feel like definitely stood out, and I know I've said that like a billion times now, it's probably annoying, I'm sorry. But yeah, overall, good movie. You should go and watch it, you should give it a chance, and I'm very glad that I did go, and I'm very excited for the next part. So yeah, hopefully the next part will make the impact that we want it to make. So yeah, you guys, that's really it. Don't come for me, I'm sorry I didn't like absolutely love it, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to hear. If you have seen the movie, do not spoil it. Don't write anything to spoil the movie for anyone else, because you guys be like spoiling movies for me that I haven't seen yet. Like, don't do that. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of the movie. If you've seen it, if you have not seen it, let me know, and let me know when you're going to watch it and what city you're gonna watch it in. I would be very interested to know. But I watched it in New York City, and yeah, enjoyed it. So thank you, Bollywood, for giving us an amazing movie. But you can do better. I know you can. I know you have it in you. But yeah, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.